So today we're going to do a little bit on simplifying ratios. Charles Darwin, the guy that had the theory of evolution, actually famously quoted one time about a species that it was 32 out of 64. And the reporter said to him, "Why didn't you just say a half?" And he replied, "Well, it wasn't until I'd actually collected the 64th sample that I actually had 32 that were the same." So simplifying ratios is one of those things that we do just to make it easier to look at the numbers, because looking at 32 out of 64 is the same as a half. A half is much easier to see than 32 out of 64. But anyway, that's just an aside. Let's have a look at the first one. 7 to 21. 7 to 21. Okay, so if I count by sevens, 7, 14, 21, it goes into it 3 times. So if I said divide by 7, I would get 1 here. And if I said divide by 7, I would get 3 here. So 7 to 21 is the same as 1 to 3. Here's another example, 450 to 200. Now, there's a big number in there that goes into both of those, but if you can't see that, you can see straight away that it ends in 0, so therefore 10 must go into both of them. So if I divided by 10, both sides, I would have 45 to 20. Now can you see that 5 goes into both of those because it's a 5 and a 0? Yep, and how many times does 5 go into 45? 9 times. And how many times does 5 go into 20? 4. So if you had have seen that 50 went into both of these, you would have got exactly the same answer. If you didn't see that 50 went into both of them and you just did, you could have done divide by 5 and then divide by 10. You can do divide by 10 and divide by 5. It doesn't make any difference. So a ratio of 450 to 200 is simplified to a ratio of 9 to 4. The next example has got fractions. So now I've got 3/5 to 1/2. And the only way I can compare fractions is if they've both got the same equal sized pieces. Fifths are not the same as halves. So when I write down my multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, right, the first one that both of these numbers go into is 10. So I'm going to say that that equals something out of 10, something out of 10. So how did I go from this 5 to this 10? I doubled it. So I must do exactly the same here. So this would be 3 times 2 is 6. So 3/5 is the same as 6/10. A half is the same as 5/10 because this would have been multiplied by 5. And 1 times 5 is also 5. So the ratio is 6 to 5 because the size of the piece doesn't matter as long as they are equal sized pieces. These are equal sized pieces, these are not equal sized pieces. Okay, 2 more quick examples, 2 1/3 to 1 1/4. So let's have a look at that ratio. So here is 1, 2, 3. So I've got this is 1, 2 and 1/3. So there's 2 and 1/3. That is actually equal to 7/3. Yeah, it's actually 2 times 3 plus 1. I don't know if you remember that from primary school maybe. And over here I've got my 1 done into quarters. So I've got 1 and 1/4. So I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters. So now if you were to write down either your 3s or your 4s, let's do 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Does 3 go into that one? Does 3 go into that one? No, no. But 3 goes into this one. So the lowest common denominator for 3 and 4 is 12. So I have to make them all into twelfths. So let's have a look. If I go from here to here, thirds to twelfths, it's a factor of 4. So I've got to do the same for the 7. So that's got to go by a factor of 4 as well. So 7 times 4 is 28. Here I've gone by a factor of 3. 4 3s are 12. So I've got to do the same on the top, times by 3. So I've got 15 twelfths. So 7 thirds is the same as 28 twelfths, and 5 quarters is the same as 15 twelfths. Now they are the same sized piece. I can say that that is a ratio of 28 to 15. Let's have a look at one last one. The learning in this one is that the units have to be the same. So if you've got centimetres and millimetres, you have to make them either both millimetres or both centimetres. If you've got minutes and hours, you have to make them both either minutes or both hours. So I'm going to do 25 minutes to 2 hours. 2 hours is 120 minutes. So 2 times 60 is 120 minutes. Yep. Now you can simplify it just as you normally would. Well, what number, if it's got a 5 and a 0, well, let's do it by 5. So 5, 2, how many times does 5 go into 120? So let me write that here. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Let me do it over here if you can't think of it straight away. Or if you said, okay, 100 divided by 5 is 20, plus this 20 has got 4, so that's 24. You may be able to do it that way, or you can do it as a short division. 5 into 12 goes twice, and there's 2 left over. 5 into 20 is 4, so it's 24. So 25 minutes to 2 hours is a ratio simplified to 5 to 24.